Hi there, Celine here, and welcome to my channel. The topic of today's video is taking ownership of your life, 4 powerful lessons I learned from cancer. These are lessons that can be applied, regardless of what you're going through in life. Cancer just happens to be my experience. It was the most life-changing thing I have gone through ever, and I really wouldn't change one moment of it. As difficult as it was, I really know that there is just, in my view, no other way I could be who I am today without that experience. So I want to share those with you today, and I hope that they help you in creating a life that you love. If you're new to my channel, I'm an author with a new book, soon to be published, Gifts from the Devastation, which really expands on, my story, my experiences, and all I have learnt, in the hope that it would help you too create a life that you love. And there's a link in the description box to details about that book, along with my other content. I'm also a breast cancer survivor, obviously, from talking about, and that's what I'll just touch on here in the video. And I'm also a life coach. So I trained purposely after coming through cancer, because I really, even though I was learning a lot, I felt I needed to sort of develop tools and practices and ways that I could help myself, as well as going on in the future to help others create a life that they love. So that's my background. And to get on to the content of the video, as I said, taking ownership of your life, really important, really important. I didn't know anything about this before cancer. And the 4 powerful lessons. Well, the first one that I learned was processing life as it happens. Very, very important, essential, I would say. I knew nothing about processing life or what that meant. That really means that whatever you experience, the ups, the downs, the sad, the happy, any experience, everything is energy. So an experience is energy, and it has to move through you to be processed. So we might find it easy to process something that's really enjoyable. We might be out somewhere meeting a friend, we really connect, we have great fun, we laugh, you feel it all, and you feel really good after it. And it is a good experience, but it would be very unusual that you would stop yourself, from feeling that. But it's a good experience, so you let it move through you. And then you move on with your day. But it's been it's been processed through, I would say, in most cases. However, if it's not something as easy as that, maybe it's something difficult, often our response will be to sort of, you hold your breath, you freeze up, you distract yourself, you sort of shut down, you just won't go there. You won't you might start to feel it and then you suppress it. And really, that to me is what happened to me with cancer. I'm speaking now from not my perspective, not from anyone else's. I suppressed a lot throughout my life without even realizing it. I suppose, our culture and conditioning has us believe that we just need to keep going and put on a brave face. So I have no hesitation in saying that that was the ultimate, I suppose, cost of not processing life as it happens. And I just would say, as difficult as it is, it does pass through. I've talked about this, and I talk about it a lot. The more we resist, the more we suffer. It's very empowering to do this. Get, in terms of, maybe it's at the very beginning, it might be important to get help, if it's a very difficult process for you to do. And as you get support, then you can process on your own. But it is something each of us has to do for ourselves. There is no shortcuts to wisdom. I heard that said, and I think that's so true. There is no other way to learn than to experience. We can read and read and read, but until we experience something. I had heard a lot about cancer and from various people going through it, but it really didn't, it had a very slight impact. But my God, you experience it and you know about it. And to my view, I suppose that, life is all about that growth and growth from experience. So best to take as much learning as we can from these experiences. The other thing I would say is, like, it's a strange maybe comparison, but like the food we eat, if we don't digest fully and process what's going on, it will come up again. It will resurface until we do, in different ways. And our body, mind, spirit, everything is connected. So you can see that if emotionally you suppress or don't digest or don't process things, they will show up in the body eventually. Pain is the language of the body. I've heard that as well. How does our body speak to us other than through the sensations and how we feel? So, very important first point that I really learned, and still have to practice and focus on processing life as it happens. So that's the first point. Second point is, I am a creator, not a victim. Again, words I would never have heard. I'd often heard of people being a victim of something that happened. But I'm talking about how you look at your life. Do you look at your life as being, I've no power or influence over what happens? Or do we look at ourselves as creators of what happens? Now, I'm not saying consciously we go out and create all these things, but I suppose a universal truth is, we are creators, whether we want to sort of step into that knowing or not, we are. Everything is energy. Our words, our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, everything that we put out into the world is how we create. And it's sort of funny in one way, but I remember not funny, but when I was diagnosed, my life had just seemed to have, I was very burnt out. I talk a lot about this in the book and the lead up to my diagnosis, but nothing seemed to make sense, for me at that point. That was coming up to 2016. I really couldn't figure out how everything I couldn't seem to get things on track. And when I got the diagnosis of cancer, it was the first time things made sense to me in so long. Hard to believe, but I suddenly began to see, okay, this is what's happening. This is why cancer has shown up here on the right hand side of my body, which is the male yang doing energy, which is what I was living in for years. But yet it made sense. So the way I had been living, suppressing, I had created the cancer. Now, I say this as my personal experience. I'm not talking about anyone else. It's how it makes sense to me and how I understand it and how it has transformed my life to understand this. All of this was unconscious. I knew nothing of this. But to be honest, if cancer hadn't shown up, I don't know what could have helped me come into the understanding of being a creator. That is how powerful we are. We are amazingly powerful. It does involve living bravely once you sort of accept that, because you can no longer say, well, oh, that was nothing to do with me, that just happened. And I'm not talking about, just to be clear here, I'm not talking about controlling life, or we can't. And I'm not talking about living from a very ego place of, I want this, I want that. Nothing wrong with wanting nice things in your life, but I'm talking about creating from a very deep place of that higher aspect of yourself who knows why you're here, a soul, your soul essence, what is my purpose here on earth? And when you start tapping into that, you'll know what you want to create. And that leads me to my third point, which is, life is always happening for me, not to me. And that's where we come into what I would say, the co-creative process. So if we start to look at everything that's happening, around us in our lives as happening for us, isn't it very interesting? How would you see life if you rather than saying, oh my God, that went wrong and that job didn't work out? Just take that as an example. Say you applied for, you put a lot of work into a job application, and maybe you got down to the last few people and you were interviewed and everything, and you didn't get it. And you might say there, oh yeah, great life happening for me. And you may not see it at the time, but my view is that the universe is always conspiring to help us find our purpose and live our purpose at our highest potential in life. Sometimes we go off track. Um, I'm not saying that I was off track all my life. There were many times I was very happy and doing things I loved and lots of great things, but I had reached a point where I had got stuck and I'd sort of gone down a cul-de-sac. So the universe wasn't listening, so it did conspire, and it had to, in my case, lead to cancer. It doesn't have to for you, it doesn't have to for anyone else, just my experience. Um, so, I think it's a very supportive, empowering, optimistic way to look at life. And why not look at life that way? Um, if the universe is always conspiring to get you on track, that can be, you're not alone anymore. This is the process of co-creation, setting your own intentions, looking at what you want to do, want to be, want to work at, what sort of people you want around you, what sort of experiences you want in your life, how do you want to feel. All those things feed into the process of creation. And then the universe will start to work with us, and we'll start to see signs and hear things, and synchronicity shows up. And that's when the fun begins, the magic of creation. Um, so I really just, yeah, very big lesson for me, shifting perspective, because I hadn't looked at life in that way. I really felt like I was just being battered around by whatever happened, and I didn't trust how I felt. So, yeah, point number 3, life is always happening for me, not to me. And the final lesson or point I want to say, I mean, there are lots more. These are just 4 that come to mind today, particularly around taking ownership in your life, because my 4th point is own the life that you want to lead. I think that's a really, really powerful statement. Nobody else can choose who you become in your life, only you. Doesn't matter the circumstances, different circumstances will show up for all of us. Um, it's not about what happened to Mary or so and so next door. It's irrelevant. We're unique individuals who are here with a very unique purpose. So we're going to need different experiences and different nudges and different prompts and lots of different things to help us get on track and into our purpose and living a life that we love. Because when we do that, we do choose to live a life that we love. Um, it does entail, I say that, living bravely, because we can look around, and I was guilty of this, looking at other people in my life thinking, particularly when I wasn't in a great place, oh, they have a great life and it's well for them. And I mightn't have said it, but I know deep down I thought it. But I had no idea of, what sort of responsibility they took for their lives, their actions, their words, their thoughts, their beliefs. We have to do the work and we have to grow up. I say that because I say that to myself. And the prize then, life does become magic. It doesn't mean you won't have problems. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges that don't come along. This is how we learn. As I said, no shortcut to wisdom. We wouldn't probably be here for very long. We wouldn't live very long if there was. And some people, learn a bit faster. I think I'm a bit of a slow learner. It's taken me, I'm now 53, and I'm not saying I'm wise, but I've definitely learned a lot more than I knew. And it's experience, so that's where the real learning is. So that's my 4 points. Just as well on the life you want to lead, just want to make an important distinction, because I think it's very relevant in the world right now when we talk about what we create with our energy, and how we feel and how we think, is to be very careful, what we're picking up around us, because there's a big difference between living from a place of love and living from a place of fear. Wherever we live from, that is what we're going to perpetuate in our lives, and that's what we're going to perpetuate in our world. And I really believe that it's up to each of us to take ownership of that. It only changes when we change. And a lovely image, I read, I can't remember now who said it, but it was a nice analogy, really, of thinking of looking out at your life and, the circumstances of your life. That's the movie, let's say, of your life. So what's the tape that's playing? Because what is playing out in your life, you are creating. And that is a universal truth. We are creating. That is how we create. So it's really important to go, well, if I'm not happy with the life and the circumstances that I have, what do I need? What sort of tape maybe do I need to be playing? So it's a nice way to look at it. And I'm not saying it's overnight. There are I've been working on this a lot for a number of years, and since basically 6 years, I suppose. And yeah, lots more to do, but it only gets better. So thank you for listening. They're the 4 powerful lessons I feel that I learned around taking ownership of my life post cancer. I hope that these lessons help you. I hope they help you take ownership of your life and create the life that you want to live. I'll just leave you with 4 questions that sort of are related to those 4 points. And they would be good to reflect on and maybe write on, in terms of at the beginning of the year, as we still are, can do it at any time, thinking about what type of life you want to live in the coming year and how you want to feel and how do you take ownership of it. So the questions are, I think I've probably covered them, but what type of life do you want to lead? So good to write about that. Maybe even I did this exercise before where I actually just got out a piece of paper and some crayons and stuff and sort of drew aspects of my life as best I could. What do you need to do to take ownership of your life? What do you need to do differently? And maybe what do you need to stop doing? What you might need to stop doing is maybe, I'm not saying you personally, but one might need to stop doing is maybe to stop looking to other people, and looking at their lives as if, oh, they have it so much better than you have it. So maybe we need to stop doing that. What do we need to start doing? Looking at maybe my thoughts. What sort of recurring thoughts am I having throughout the day? What's my belief system about myself and what I'm capable of, and maybe what I don't believe I'm capable of? How do I, as we talked earlier about process life and feel life, and how do I deal with my emotions? So all of those things are playing a part. What if life was happening for you? So maybe you don't believe that right now, but if you were to believe that life is happening for you all the time, what would you do differently knowing that? And as I said, it doesn't mean everything is all hunky-dory or the way you want it or the way your ego wants it. It's living from a very different place. So I'll leave you with those 4 points and some questions to consider. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel or liked the content, please do if you do like it. And I look forward to talking to you in the next video. In the meantime, take care. Bye.